we have so many companies like that. And the thing that you did, and this, I want to point this out, like anybody listening and saying, okay, well, I want to find that type of company for me. What do I align with? That's the whole thing. You look at what is most important to you, and you look for a company that is providing that and growing and expanding and just aligns with who you are, because we're all different, right? I have an eco salon, you have an eco, we use different products, we do different practices, and it's all valid, it's all beautiful, it's all amazing, and it's unique to us. Welcome to the Green Beauty Community Podcast, where we're making sustainable beauty the new standard. I'm your hostess, Jacquelyn Rodriguez, and in each episode, we dive deep into the world of eco-friendly beauty, sharing insights and tips and inspiring stories from industry leaders and innovators. Whether you're a beauty professional or enthusiast, join us as we explore how to make the beauty industry kinder to our planet without compromising on quality or style. Let's create a more beautiful world inside and out. Welcome back to the Green Beauty Community Podcast. I'm your hostess, Jacquelyn Rodriguez, and today we have a very special guest with us. You know him as our hostess with the mostest on the Green Beauty webinars, Mikee, the owner of MetroMikees. Welcome. I'm so excited to get to talk to you again.
Hi, Jacquelyn. Thank you so much for having me. It's always an honor to be here with you in any of the formats that we get to hang out and chat. But today, I would love to say hello and welcome to everyone listening to the Green Beauty Community Podcast. We're so happy to have you here. For those who may not know me yet, I am Mikee with two E's. The two E's in my name stand for the environment and everyone, the two things that I care about most. I am a host of the Green Beauty Community webinar series, but today I'm talking to you as the owner of MetroMikee's eco-friendly award-winning salon. I've been a business owner for 11 years, salon owner, for 11 years. I have been a sustainable stylist as much as I could be. When I first opened my salon, I've always been driven by my two E's in my adult life. So when I opened my salon, I wanted to make sure that I was practicing what I preach. I had already gained a nice clientele through beauty school, and then the few places that I was at with my temporary license, and then as I got a license, cosmetology license here in Pennsylvania, I went on to utilize those things that my clients had already come to know and love in my own salon. So I'm here to share all of my knowledge and insights, and hopefully we can dive into some good topics today, Jacquelyn. Thank you.
Oh my goodness. So I know that we're going to have a great conversation, and there's so many things that you are doing that I personally find so fascinating. Um, but before we dive into all of that, I'd love to hear, this hasn't been around for very long, like being a very conscious, sustainable, clean salon. It wasn't around, especially 11 years ago. So what really made you want to start to make that switch?
So there's a lot to unpack in that, but I will say that I am aware through some of the awesome clients that I've gotten to perform services for over the years that there has been this eco-friendly, sustainable movement for a lot longer than most people are aware.
Yeah.
Back in the 70s, people started really noticing through work, like the governmental uh, advocate Rachel Carson, excuse me, people started realizing that what we were doing in modern day practices were not necessarily beneficial to the eco-conscious person and the biodiversity that we wanted to um, maintain and save. And so people started to look into what was being done in large agricultural practices, and people started to look into what was being done in the pharmaceutical industry, and people started to then look into what was going on in the beauty industry. So I come from a long line of people who have been fighting this fight. They picked up the mantle before I did. My mission, because I'm Mikee with two E's and I care about the environment, number one, and then everyone, which we can talk about how that motivates me to get into my, green eco-friendly mindset too. But there were so many people who helped guide me into my mission that I have been able to learn from. And now, finally, I'm starting to feel like I'm not the only one in my area who is conscientious of this. And I really have found the green beauty community, but also a community on Instagram and a community through Facebook and other places that we can exist online where this isn't. It's not something that people are aware of, but it's something people are championing for. So I'm happy to spread my knowledge wherever I can.
I love that. So it sounds like through your family and everything, you guys have been very um conscious and aware of all of that. Now, your family, you come from beauticians, like having salons? Okay, so they had
No,
that
I
same
I don't
sorry.
actually. I'm a a military brat, if you will.
Okay.
My I come from a blended family. It's a whole host of things that didn't necessarily set me up in my core network, my friends and family. But I have always been a charismatic individual. So I have been able to attract the kind of the people who are on the same mission as me. And those people are who I consider the giants in my life, who have helped guide me into my journey and then supported me, whether it was as a client, as a friend, as a follower on social media, sharing my stuff and whatnot. So they're, I guess, the eco-friendly family I've chosen.
Yeah, I love that. And when I started, like, I didn't have the background for my family being in the salon environment. So I started with my own, like, wanting to change things at home. But I noticed there was a big disconnect on how to do that at home versus the salon. So, how did you navigate that? Like, going from being very passionate at home and doing things, with your family and all of that, and then switching it over to the salon?
So it was actually my current spouse. We've been together for 15 years, married for 9 years. We
Congrats.
were going through that tough, like, to reference an old song, like "No One Likes You When You're 23" from Blink 182. We were going through that tough, like, early adulthood, but late young adulthood time. We had moved in together. We had a studio apartment. We were trying to be mindful about everything, but we didn't understand until we actually started doing research on what we were eating. We didn't
Mhm.
understand some of the unnatural things that were going on in our food supply. And that led us into researching agricultural products, genetically modified organisms, pesticides, herbicides, which then led me to Rachel Carson and a bunch of the other clients that I now have to help kind of fill that void. But we became acutely aware of the long-term effects that they weren't studied. No one, this was new technology. There was
Mm.
no time for people to be like, okay, we have studied this for a recommended length or period of time, and now we can say confidently that this is good for you or this is bad for you. So we opted for the stance of until we know more, we champion science, we champion facts, we champion new innovations, but we
Yeah.
cannot advocate for things that we don't have factual data about. So we were interested at first in something that I love sharing, and I just shared it on another podcast called the Clean 15 and the Dirty Dozen. So this
Yeah.
was a list of foods, the clean 15 being things that were not heavily genetically modified, and they usually grew in places where there weren't a lot of diseases for crops and there weren't pests, the rodents, insects, stuff like that, quote unquote pests. Great things for ecological biodiversity, but not so great when we're trying to feed 8 billion people on the world. So the clean 15 were things that you could probably still buy conventionally in your grocery store. The dirty dozen were things that had been heavily genetically modified, to which we don't know the long-term effects. They had been heavily used with herbicides and pesticides. And those were the things that it was recommended that if somebody could afford to buy organic, natural, uh, vegan friendly, like all the labels that may or may not be helpful. If you could
That's
go
a whole
above
nother
and
podcast in itself.
that it certainly is, but if you could go above and beyond for the Dirty Dozen, that was probably a great place to start to maintain our long-term health, wellness, and longevity.
I love that. So you came in with more of the mindset of food. I came on the opposite of cleaning products to not have me breathing in, or my kids. That's really what that was all about, was not having my kids breathing in all those cleaning products. And then I dived down this whole Pandora's box of what is out there. When you looked at and you took that philosophy and you switched it and you started applying things to your salon because of the shortage of options for products and the way that traditional salons run, how did you see, like, what obstacles did you come against to implement everything into your salon?
So when we were going through the process of figuring out what we wanted to put in our body, we also started noticing what we wanted to put on our body. And then we started noticing what we want to put around our body. So it came full circle with the food, the beauty products, the supplements, the multivitamins, and then the cleaning products, the materials in like our cookware, the materials in our bedding, so the laundry detergent we can use. So that all started, because we became aware and started making tiny changes. So if we had a little bit of extra money, we would upgrade to the laundry detergent that was a little bit more eco-friendly. And that technology has come so far. So much technology has come so far. But back in this time, we just had to pick one topic maybe per week, do a little bit of research, and then figure out where we needed to make a change. As I transitioned into the beauty industry, I started doing the same thing. So it was like, okay, let's be mindful about which heat protectant we were using, which oil we were using as a leave-in, which shampoo, which conditioner. And then that translated into long-term health effects on the hairdressing industry. I know that if a client comes every 6, 8, 10, or 12 weeks to get their hair color, and it has ammonia that is great for making a product like hair color effective, it will do what it needs to do, because that harsh chemical is going to go in, it's going to do its work, and then it's going to evaporate right into my face. So a hair client being exposed to that every 6, 8, 10, or 12 weeks, over a lifetime, like that adds up. But a hairdresser doing 3 hair colors a day, 5 days a week,
Not more.
for 30, 40 years, that is going to really start wreaking havoc on our cardiovascular system, on our endocrine system. And I was looking for alternatives that aligned, so that when I got out of beauty school, and I was doing all this research in beauty school, I don't know how I managed. Like, how you're just young and you have more energy to do everything all the time.
Yes. Yeah. And you thought you were tired then. And now you look back and you're like, no, never.
And it's so crazy. So I was doing all of this in beauty school. It led me, I don't usually advocate for products. I'm certain in show notes that I've been on, my I can provide link trees and everything to the products that I found and use and have become affiliates or ambassadors for. But I don't usually share products. That this one was so important to me in the beginning of my career, in changing my mindset towards being an eco-friendly salon, that I'm going to share it. There's a company in Texas. It's called CHI. It's an acronym or an abbreviation for Cationic Hydration Interlink, CHI. They were founded in the mid 80s, and they came out with the world's first ammonia-free hair color. I believe the year that I was born, 1987, when the
Love
dinosaurs were
that.
walking around the earth.
Oh, please. If that's when, then I was prehistoric.
Well, the kids say that we were born in the 1000s. We're not even the 1900s anymore.
Oh
They put us in the different millennia. So I'm okay with that. That's all good. In 1987, this ammonia-free hair color came out. It has been their main hair color line since that time. It also has great ingredients in it, but I wanted that. I had used their flat iron, I had used their silk infusion. I was already addicted. And so when I had the option to get out of beauty school and choose my own line, that, I wasn't forced to use or the insurance covered, I was like, I need to have chi in my line because I don't want to spend the next 40 to 45 years breathing in this harsh chemical. Now, luckily, along the way, not too long after I started, they formulated without PPD, paraphenyldiamine, which is a known, now a known carcinogen and a huge allergen.
Yeah.
So they did that. They have made enhancements with their natural products. They have their own certified organic aloe vera farm in Texas, which is just
Amazing.
so cool to me. I know how hard it is to become a certified organic anything. So that's what they use in almost every product that they have. They now have a vegan line, which I had been asking for so long. So watching this company who I chose because of their health and safety reasons blossom into something that has been even more eco-friendly and sustainable and still provides all the results that I've gotten used to is just so it helped me get into the mindset in the first place, and then it's just been this uphill roller coaster ever since.
I love that because it's that one product line, that one mentor, that one thing that starts to change your mindset of what's possible. And what I love about this is that there are so many possibilities now. We have so many companies like that. And the thing that you did, and this I want to point this out, like anybody listening and saying, okay, well, I want to find that type of company for me. What do I align with? That's the whole thing. You look at what is most important to you and you look for a company that is providing that and growing and expanding and just aligns with who you are because we're all different, right? I have an eco salon, you have an eco, we use different products, we do different practices, and it's all valid, it's all beautiful, it's all amazing, and it's unique to us. And I think that alone, being unique, helps you stand out in this super crowded market. I mean, how many salons are near you?
Plenty.
Exactly. Like, I swear every other day another one's opening up. In my tiny little town, there's like 30. Tiny town. And it doesn't matter because we all get to win. And when you set yourself apart and you have that unique approach and you're using these products that you believe in, I find just that is the secret sauce to actually creating the salon that you love. When you were switching everything over and now, we have a few years have gone by, like what other obstacles did you come against when you were changing things over?
Sometimes I had one of my clients, a dear client who gives me insight every time. But they had their first appointment with me and they went to sit in my shampoo station and they said, "Oh my goodness, can I sit here? I don't I don't touch leather because I'm vegan." And they had mentioned the whole time that they wanted a vegan appointment. And I was like, look, I can do your haircut 100% vegan. I use renewable energy. Most of my salon is upcycled, furniture and decorations or supporting low. So I was like, I checked all the boxes. And then they came in, they went to go sit in my shampoo station. And like there has been a lot of cool technological advances with vinyl, which is our
Um,
preferred, material in the hairdressing world. Um, and I said, "Oh my gosh, no, I certainly would tell you if this was real leather that you were about to sit in. It is vinyl, just like the hairstyling chair that you were just sitting at." And they said, "Okay, well that's cool." And we got to talking about, all the ways that a hair appointment could be non-vegan for somebody who lived a vegan lifestyle. And I was like, look, I'm well versed in that. I have other clients who are vegan. But then they said that it's really cool that I charge the same price for haircuts across the board because they have gotten used to paying the vegan tax. And I was
mm,
like, that's not a way I had heard it before. But I remember being a poor broke, post technical school, trade school person. And I was like, luckily I had, um, I mean, my husband and I have been in this mission together a lot. So I had the support from him when I was like, I don't know how to do this. And he didn't know how to do it either, but he just listened to me. So being like a broke college kid, starting out, I was 22 when I entered beauty school. I opened my first salon 3 years later at age 25. I didn't know anything, Jon Snow. So I was lucky that I was like a poor broke college kid and I couldn't afford all the things that I would have had to take out of my salon later to transition into eco-friendly. So one of my claims to fame when my award-winning eco-friendly salon is that like I am like, at any given point 90 to 95% upcycled or recycled furniture. So
Yeah.
I have saved things from the landfill. I have bought things off marketplace. I have like there was one point I had a local jewelry artist who bought a display case to hang on my wall in my lobby reception area, and that was the literal only new piece of furniture in my salon. I have a couple new pieces now, but I try to stay mindful about that process of reduce, reuse, recycle. So luckily, I didn't face a lot of the barriers. Now I did invest in LED lighting technology. I have switched over. I don't have solar panels on the business because I don't currently own the building, but because I've been an in-demand eco-friendly stylist, I'm about to buy the building where my salon is located, which also comes with apartments attached. So I'm going to enter the hopefully eco-friendly real estate market here soon. But like
Oh, exciting.
I switched to renewable energy. I bicycle commute most of the days of the year. Now I have a hybrid truck because it's hard. I also own another business. It's hard running two businesses from a bicycle, but I did it for a little while. But so it was all these little things that I just did over time that now I can help share that experience for those who are needing to get into the mindset number one or finding all those little baby steps to get started.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. And everything that you have done, it crosses over, right? It's this is how you live your life, and that's how you bring things into your salon. And I want to touch on a few things that you said. So, number one, the vegan tax. Okay. I haven't heard it put that way either. But it is very known that anything clean or healthy for you, like you go to get your food, organic food is way more expensive. Um, Products way more expensive. Salons are using that. And I want to be very mindful when we talk about pricing. Everybody's in a different location. Everybody has different price structures. And my biggest thing is when you are bringing on a new product line that is cleaner, more sustainable, yes, maybe it is a little bit more costly for you. And yes, we do get to put that into our price, but you don't get to just charge more just because you're a clean salon. Now, you can have luxury pricing. That comes down to your how you set up your ecosystem, how your client experience is, what the perceived value is to your clients. But you can't just come in, open a salon, throw some clean, sustainable products in, and then charge more just for that. That's just my personal opinion on it. But I know that it's a big topic that a lot of people talk about. And, the clients aren't always super happy with it. But I don't think it comes from that. It comes from the experience, the yeah, perceived value.
Let me interject here because this is
Yes.
something that I did want to touch on,
Yeah.
the financial sustainability of it all. In my area, I have I love business sustainability, so I track a lot of the things in my business that many hairdressers aren't even aware of. I wasn't when I was first starting, and even if they're aware of, it can be a little tedious and daunting. So my productivity rate is usually between 85 and 115% because I can't say no to some of my favorite clients. So I'm like, I'll stay late on Saturday because I love them and it doesn't burn me out. Um, so my productivity rate is great. My cash flow rate is great. In my area, I actually have the highest. Say what you will about pricing, everyone has an hourly rate.
Hmm.
Whether it's an a la carte hourly rate that you do a service and then you divide the total by how many hours, then that can fluctuate, but an average hourly rate. Or me, I actually price all my services based on time. So I have a 60-minute haircut, a 90-minute haircut, a 2-hour service, and a 3-hour service. Most people don't need more than that. And I've gotten faster in my time, but my hourly rate is the highest in my area. So by having, and I think I can break it down to like reputation, demand, experience, education. Uh, I feel like there's one more that I always forget, but those things are what drive price increases:
Yes.
reputation, demand, experience, education. So
Yep.
working on our reputation, which mine when I started, I'm Mikey with 2 E's. I care about the environment and everyone. Working on my demand, like my parents tell me occasionally that like when I was starting, they were always amused because I would talk to them and I'm like, man, I need more hair clients. But on my social media posts, I was like, I have one available appointment. It's Thursday, this week at 6:30. They're like, you always faked it till you made it, almost.
Yeah.
Now I'm booked like 8 to 12 weeks in advance, so I don't even do the whole like posting. But reputation, demand, experience, I was always making sure that people knew in whatever location that I was elevating my experience and making sure to maintain sharing my story about my mission. Hi,
Yep.
welcome to MetroMikee's. I'm Mikey with 2 E's. I care about the environment and everyone. I was always sharing my story. And then education. I was staying up on sustainable beauty. I was staying up on how the brands that I chose, how they were innovating. I was looking and researching for new ones. So with all of that said, 14 years later in my career, 14 and a half years later in my career, I now have the highest priced hourly rate out of any stylist I'm aware of in my area. And I do it all. And going back to the vegan tax, I wanted to tie that in. When I first started, I had people reaching out who wanted vegan experience, and my reputation was so good that word of mouth has always been my
Mhm.
building block of my business. A little bit social media, a lot of word of mouth. When people would come, they'd be like, I'm vegan. I've heard such great things about you. I'd say, well, give me a little bit of time. This is one of the reasons I added Olaplex in my salon in 2017, because they were a vegan company, and say what you will about them. At the time, they were the only patented product that did what they did, and they were vegan. So what I did is I invested in the Olaplex line, and I made sure to add the vegan component into my salon. Oh, and then Chi, my number one go-to brand, is like 99% vegan, but they use silk in all of their formulations, which is great for hair, skin, and nails. But as we all know, it comes from silkworm. So I'd say it's 99% vegan, but I can't offer 100% vegan. So I did charge a little bit of a vegan tax to get started. My prices weren't what they are now. So when I started back then, I just had to make sure that the business could be sustainable while I was introducing these new forward thinking eco-friendly practices. So my haircuts were based like $5 to $10 for the vegan option. Slowly and steadily over time, those equaled out, and now everyone who walks through my doors gets the same sustainable experience without any vegan tax or eco-friendly tax. So it was a journey, and I I made the commitment to doing that, and I explained, and I was open and honest and transparent about everything the whole way.
That's the key, is being open and honest and transparent. And the fact with the pricing, we won't go completely down that rabbit hole, but the pricing is really looking at where you're at, and you got to map out how much it costs for you to survive and keep your doors open, and then how much there's a method to the madness. It's not just looking, because when I started, I've been in the industry for 25 years. When I started, like, you literally looked at the next salon and you're like, okay, they charge $50 for a color, so I'm going to charge $50 for a hair color. And I know salons that are still doing that because we don't know what we don't know, right? So it's looking at all of those aspects and charging appropriately for what service you're bringing on, what products you're bringing on, but it goes so much further beyond just the product. And that's huge.
And I will say, concerning the mindset of sustainability, whether it's eco-friendly or business sustainability,
Mhm.
it is much more empowering to know my own business financials, if you will, and price myself accordingly than to figure out what people in my area are charging and undercut them, because that will make a lot of people who might not be our ideal clients come to our doors. And that will lead to burnout. And so we're burnt out and we're not making enough money to cover our own costs. So you hear a lot of first time business owners shut their doors within a year, and like 50% close within a year. And the other 40%, so 90% of businesses, small businesses, close within the first 5 years. So that just means 10% of us who are doing things, hopefully the way that I am sharing to do them, 10% of us will make it longer than 5 years.
That's a scary number. And that's also why we do what we're doing, right? We've got the webinars, we're doing the podcast, we're out there educating, bringing awareness, because there's so much beauty that can be happening, and not just external beauty, right? But beauty within everything that we're doing in our salons, how we're coming and showing up in life and helping our, whether we have stylists with us or are helping our clients day in and day out. It has been the number one thing that continues to drive me on this mission, because there is so much potential and impact that is made just by being aware. So, um, I want to keep going with you. And I told you at the beginning that I was going to be really good with timing, like this whole podcast series. So, what are some of your final words for our salon owners listening?
So I just want to paint a picture of why I decided uh, to help found and fund and be a part of the free education experience of the Green Beauty Community Foundation. Uh, I'm Mikey with 2 E's. I care about the environment, number one, because if we don't have an environment, then there's no social justice causes to fight for. There's no government to argue about. There's no potential World War III. There's no biodiversity. There's no getting to the moon. There's no anything. So that's why the number one E is always the environment. And then the number two is I care about everyone. And that is a little bit more open ended than people usually interpret it. I will explain in my motivations to be a little bit vulnerable. I want to save up a lot of money for retirement because I would love a quarter of the money I save in retirement to be put in maybe a green beauty community trust fund where the interest every year goes to pay a researcher to figure out and fund research for environmental catastrophes we're not even aware of yet. 10 years, 20 years, 50 years, 100 years. And then I can also, because I've consumed some very interesting media in my life, I can look to thousands of years, year 1 million, year 1 billion, and look through what could potentially be the fate of the human race in those deep future scenarios. So I'm even more fighting for your grandkids, 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 and making sure that they have an Earth at least until the sun explodes, enlarges and swallows the planet potentially in like 5 billion years. But I'm caring about all the people alive today. And then I don't have children, but I'm trying to care about everyone's children's children and what kind of future that would look like. So that's the everyone in my name. So knowing what risks we could knowing what risks we already have
Mhm.
today and then knowing the unknown risks that could be coming down the future is why I'm so motivated and why I have stuck to my mission for so long. So if that is something that you haven't thought about, I implore you to explore what's going on today and then what future is going to look like for your progeny.
Yes, I love that so much. And I love everything about you. I'm so excited to be along on this journey with you. And thank you for being vulnerable, sharing your insights, and just doing what you're doing. So, like I say on every podcast, because I get a chance to meet some incredible human beings. Um, Thank you. Thank you for everything you're doing. Thank you for watching. Anybody listening out there, and let us know, we are real humans on the other side of Instagram and all of that. We love connecting. Let us know what you took away from this episode, what, inspired you, and maybe shifted that mindset just a little bit for your future. Where can they find you, Mikey?
So I am at MetroMikee, of course, Mikey with two E's, MetroMikee on all social media platforms. You can also find me lurking in the Green Beauty Community website occasionally. And wherever we have podcasts and webinars, you'll usually find me there too. So I always love answering questions. The easiest way for me to answer a question is by leaving a rating or review. And I make sure that I
Ah.
scour through those little comments and questions so that I can answer those on my next episode.
I love it. Thank you again, Mikey. Thank you for everyone listening, and we will catch you on the next episode. Thank you for tuning in to the Green Beauty Community Podcast. We're on a mission to make sustainable beauty the new standard, and we need your help to make it. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to our podcast and share with your friends. Every listener helps spread our mission of sustainable beauty. Want to do more? Visit greenbeautycommunity.com to join our community, volunteer your skills, or to make a donation. Your support in any form helps us create a more beautiful and sustainable future for the beauty industry. And remember, together we can transform beauty for ourselves and for our planet. Until next time, stay green and stay gorgeous. This podcast was brought to you by a generous grant by InnerSense Organic Beauty.